Hi everyone, Nicholas Lee here, and I'm super excited today because I have the objection killer formula that I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to share today the overview of what it is, and it's really based on everything that I've learned about objection handling, objection killing, objection elimination over the past 8 years of doing sales in so many different situations, context, deals, business, or even your family members. Okay. Now, because I've been through the whole journey from being the worst salesperson you could ever think of to now being, I would say, a very, very good one, I've realized that objections can be done in so many ways. And sometimes if you learn the very advanced way too quickly, you miss some steps that get you into trouble. At the same time, I would expect and I would want you to study and learn the master level as quickly as you can, so you can get to a place where you're never worried about objections. I actually look forward to objections because I always know what to say and how to say things to turn a deal that would never close into a deal that closes. I've done it multiple times, and at some point I will be sharing a lot of those real life calls where someone came in saying he didn't want to buy, to then turning him into a close. I had a guy where in the same way he didn't want to buy, but got him to actually invest at a $10,000 deal. Okay, so all of those is a mixture of everything that I'm teaching you in the school community, and of course experience and practice and all of that. Okay, so today let's go into the different phases and the different levels of objection handling. Okay, as you can see here, there's the foundation, there's the structural, there's the diagnosis one, the control, and the elimination. So let's go through them quickly, and we're going to go and dive in each of them in the next videos. Cool. So objection killer formula. The first level is what I call the foundation. This is what I've learned at the complete start of my career, and this is what helped me to close even the 6K, 12K, 25K, bearing in mind that the mentor I was working with and I was closing his deals, he was amazing at selling on stage, and therefore some of those people were already ready to buy, right? So I call myself more of a cash collector by then, but I had to still apply some of the objection handling method. And the method I'm going to teach you in the next video is going to be about the VAC method, which is validate, angle shift, and then close the deal. Okay. If you're quite new to sales or quite new to objection handling, use this method. It will be the easiest one to learn. It will not work all the time, I have to be honest, but it would work good enough for you to close more deals that you would have done before. Okay, that's where I would say if you want to start, learn this one, start to get your brain being comfortable handling objections, you will see your mind change a bit. Next level is level 2. This is where you would want to learn some structure. What I mean by structure is more in terms of the wordings and how you would say things. And this actually is a good add-on to the VAC, because if you look at the VAC, there is a structure, which is you always validate someone's objection, and then you go on and helping them change the way they see it. Okay. Now with this one, it's going to be more of a playbook. I will go into the most common objections, and I will share with you some what we call word tracks as to how you would use them. But like I may have taught you at some point, people are people, and the words they say don't necessarily mean what they say. So there's a bit more to it than just using a word track, a playbook. But I went through this phase where I was learning a lot of word tracks, a lot of scripts, quote unquote. Even though I don't like using scripts, I learned them because it gave me a good base to know how to handle objections in more of an unscripted way where I am right now. So I will also teach you this level. Go and learn this, apply it. You will see how it works. Some won't work because, it's scripted. But those word tracks will become part of your language where eventually you'll know where to use them. Okay. Level number 3 is where you do some of the diagnosis. Again, I'm getting you into different levels where right now with the diagnosis, you will be able to identify where people are regarding the objection and identify whether it's a logistical objection, whether it's a logical objection, or whether it's a fear objection. And most of the time, if you have applied my anti-script closing system, many of the objections you will get will be more fear-based because you will have handled all of the logistical objection. Actually, maybe not. Depending on the people, some of them, the fear-based will not even be there because you would have built the trust through the anti-script closing system. And therefore some of them will literally just be logistical, because sometimes what I'm encountering right now is a lot of kind of more of the money objection, which in most cases when I've done the anti-script closing system correctly is because they really don't have the money, and I have to work with them to either be more resourceful or maybe negotiate with them so they get the money to get started so they can pay themselves going forward. Okay, that's where you become a bit more of a negotiator rather than a closer at this point. And to me, this is where I want you to get to, and this is where you would want to get to, where closing is not the issue. The person on the other side want to work with you, whether you're charging 5, 10, 20, 50K. It's just they don't have the money physically with them, and you need to help them to be more resourceful, which I think is in itself another training that I might teach you, how to help people be more resourceful in finding money, right? Because that becomes more of a education issue, of a belief issue, and of a finding the money where they could. Okay. Level 4 is about control. Okay. This is in line with what I've taught you in the anti-script closing system. And this is much, much more powerful and much more fun to use, right? Because this is why I enjoy waiting for the objections, right? And I call it the objection self-closing method, right? Because in this method, if you've done the anti-script closing system properly, you would have hit all of the 15 dominoes. And by you hitting every single dominoes, that means you would have set the call correctly in phases, right? Meaning you would have got the anchors, the information you need to then stack the pressure. And when you're stacking the pressure, that means you're building leverage that you can use to help the person make the best decision, to change their current situation. But you would also use it to create the best offer for them. And finally, you would also use the information you've collected, the leverage you've built, in order for you to help themselves to close themselves from the objection, which is just incredible. It's the most fun thing you'll do once you get there and you master it. So I look forward to getting some of you there. I know many of you will give up, will not try, or maybe you'll be happy enough for the first 3 levels. But this level here is really where things get really, really fun. Because then, once you see it, you can't unsee it, but you will see people saying things like, I don't have the money. Okay. And then you'll tell them, well, you mentioned to me how not achieving this goal will cost you 10K, 50K, 100K over the next 3, 4, 5 years. You only need to invest 5K right now to make 100K in the future. So let me get clarity then. You only need 5K to get 100K. Can you not 5K to make 100K in the future, or to save yourself 100K from not making a choice, right? So those are the kind of the angles you would want to use, and this is why I use all the time to get people to realize that the price, the investment they're making right now is really nothing compared to what they're going to get from it. Okay, so I look forward to teaching you this and to having many of you understand, master it, and come back to me with feedback, guys. Now, the level 5 is the elimination method. Okay, now many people, they are on the internet, on Google, trying to find out how to handle the I need to think about it objection, the partner objection, the money problem objection, all of those objections, when in reality, those objections are self-inflicted. Because there are many calls that I review, and one of my one-on-one clients had the same issue where actually that's how I closed him to work with me, because he said to me he didn't have the money, and by listening to his language, I could hear that this was potentially the language he was bringing on his sales conversation. So I said to him, well, you struggling to find the money right now, don't you think it's also a problem you may be bringing to your clients? For example, let's say a client comes to you, and because you think you don't have the money, you let them go easily around raising finance to invest in a solution that will solve their problem. Or because you don't have the money, you want to help them spread the investment for as long as possible. Or even worse, because you don't have the money, you think or you feel that every single person coming to you on a call doesn't also have the money. So throughout the call, you may be using language, words, belief systems that you're letting them know that it's okay to not have the money and not be resourceful to have the money. And that's just one. Maybe if your partner is stopping you from doing stuff, or you're scared of your partner, you may be also using the same language that lets your prospect off the hook and is doing them a disservice. Okay. Now for this part, it's about going through your calls and identifying the key objections that come the most, because most likely if they come again and again and again, you are the one creating them. Okay. So we're going to go in more detail about finding them, solving them so that it doesn't come to you. And sometimes just solving this key issue that you are doing, you are creating, will take your closing rate from, 20 to 40. For example, Ravinder took her closing rate from 60 to 88, or in the high 80s, because she found out the way she came on the call was a bit more stressed, nervous. She used the anti-script closing system and was building more rapport with them. But also she believed that she needed to close them so they could improve their life. Okay. And that's another key one, guys. If you haven't done the Duty to Sell challenge, I would strongly suggest you do it, because like I said, with the self-inflicted objection, because if you don't believe your product is good enough, and you don't believe that the price you're offering is way cheaper than the value they're going to get, your language, your passion, your energy on the call will be felt, and therefore a lot of the objection you will be getting will be based on how you are showing up on the calls. Okay, so we will go in more detail on that. Hopefully that helps you. But yeah, excited to share all of those different levels of objection handling to you guys, and hopefully you can really take your sales skills to the next level. All right, speak to you later. As I always say, guys, can you please share any ahas you've heard from me today? In the group, post out there, comment on any post there is around this. We do need to keep things engaging, because that allows other people to take their sales skills to the next level. You inspire them. You may inspire yourself, right? If you get a win from today and implement that in your call, do share that as well. Okay. And as usual, if you want to get faster results, get in touch with me. Let's book a one-on-one call, see if I can help you. Also, if you're within the first 200 members, things might change, but right now, first 200 members, you have a free one-on-one onboarding call with me. Do book that call, and yeah, I'll speak to you later, guys. Have a good day.